Louise, whose full name was Louisa Caroline Alberta, was a British princess and Duchess of Argyll. She was a flamboyant rebel from the royal family, with an energetic rebellious spirit that her powerful mother, Queen Victoria, tried to tame, not always understanding and accepting her as she was. Since early childhood, she was the sixth child of the royal couple and the fourth daughter of Prince Albert and Queen Victoria, and she was famous for her vivacity and restlessness. Her birth took place in the stormy year 1848, on March 18, when revolutionary unrest swept Europe. From the very infancy, Queen Victoria foresaw that her daughter had a unique path in life, and she was not mistaken. Already in early childhood, Louise showed her talent, holding a pencil and a piece of paper in her hands even before she learned the first letters. Little Louise enjoyed playing with her brothers and sisters, exploring the trees, running around the garden with a ball. Over time, she painted wooden chess, sculpted animal figures out of wax, was fond of learning languages and playing several musical instruments, and also memorized folk ballads and songs by ear. Despite her strict and modest upbringing, Louise remained rebellious, diligently studying not only sewing and dancing, but also various aspects of art and knowledge. The mother, who was the queen, agreed for the first time in history that her talented daughter would become a free listener at the National Art School, which later became the Royal College of Art. Here, under the strict guidance of experienced teachers, Louise studied sculpture, academic drawing, the history of painting, and even took a course in human anatomy, which was reflected in her educational drawings and sketches. Louise decided the fate of her marriage herself and found her future husband at one of the balls, where she met John, Douglas Campbell, Marquis de Lorne, the future Duke of Argyll. He possessed not only beauty and energy, but also interests such as hunting, sports, and various intellectual conversations. The Marquis was also a skilled chess player and took great pleasure in accompanying the princess to court events and concerts. The wedding of Princess Louise and the Marquis de Lorne took place on March 21, 1871, and caused considerable excitement in Britain, as Louise was the first princess to marry a Scot, perhaps even daring to contradict the will of her mother, Queen Victoria. Various rumors circulated around her personal life, including speculation about a marriage with a Prussian prince who did not like her, and even about the existence of a lover, the sculptor maestro Frederick de Bohme, and an illegitimate son, but these statements were not confirmed by facts, and all this added mystery to the biography of this outstanding beauty. Lady Louise and Marquis John Morne spent 43 years together, until the Duke's death, maintaining an impeccable public appearance and showing mutual respect and interest in each other. Their union always looked harmonious and happy, despite the fact that they had no children in their marriage, which was a source of deep sadness for Louise. She especially often recalled how she experienced the happiest years of her life while in Canada, where her husband was appointed viceroy, governor, with the support of Prime Minister Disraeli and the approval of Queen Victoria. In Ottawa, Lady Louise, the governor's wife, showed incredible energy and activity. She actively participated in the construction of a new house, took part in all public events, mastered the art of skating and sledding, and also became an active defender of women's rights. Her correspondence with famous figures of art and literature, including Elizabeth Gaskell, was extensive, and she was engaged in translations, organizing public concerts, exhibitions, and sports competitions. Under the leadership of the governor's couple, the Royal School of Art in Montreal was opened, as well as an art museum, which gave a new impetus to cultural life in the region. Louise was happy to invest her own funds in the development of women's education, contributing to the opening of schools where girls not only from rich, but also from middle-class families had the opportunity to study. Her husband, John Morne, supported her in these endeavors, but at the same time, he forbade her to make public speeches, even in organizations that she supported. He read the speeches written by Louise himself, and she stood silently beside him. All this time, Louise did not lose interest in art and continued to communicate with artists such as Frederick Leighton and John Millet. In 1900, after the death of John's father, the title of Duke of Argyll passed to him, and Louise became known as the Duchess of Argyll. At this time, John devoted himself entirely to politics, although his career was not always successful. He was also actively engaged in writing and translations. Louise continued to support charities and was in close contact with her younger sisters, Helena and Beatrice, and also became friends with Beatrice's husband, Henry of Battenberg. There were rumors of an affair and revenge against her sister around her relationship, but none of this was confirmed. Since the early 1900s, the Duke's health began to deteriorate, and Louise selflessly took care of him. In 1914, the Duke of Lorne fell ill with pneumonia, and on May 2, 1914, he died, and Louise was by his side all the time. The Duchess lived another 25 years after her husband's death. Louise passed away at the beginning of World War II in November 1939, having lived to the age of 91. Her cremation will cause some confusion among the royal family and the Lorne dynasty, but they did not dare to violate the will of this extraordinary princess and duchess. Louise's ashes were buried on the grounds of the Frogmore estate. A lake and a province in Canada were named in her honor, as well as the Royal College of Art. All the paintings and sculptures created by Louise have become part of the national heritage of the country. It deserves to be noted that in her works of art, the outstanding artist aspired to the art of conveying the inner psychological state of the characters, as well as to achieve accuracy in displaying various shades of light and subtle application of paints on canvas. Her paintings and drawings always radiated freshness and dynamism of brushstrokes, and her sculptures were distinguished by smoothness and clarity of lines. Rapidly aging, the Duchess maintained clarity of mind, clarity of judgment, and a love of walking in the fresh air, even in old age. Lady Louise always behaved politely, with an indestructible and refined dignity. This, of course, surprised many, but her manner of behavior was always accepted with respect, since she embodied 2 centuries, combining magnificent and strict Victorianism with modernity, and all this harmoniously coexisted in her personality.